Welcome back to Real Push Podcast. I'm your host, Bernard Shammo, with my co-host, Dominic Shaba. We are sitting here with an absolutely unbelievable force of nature. He is a world-class real estate coach. He is a trusted advisor. He is a business mentor to many. He is the chief growth officer at one of the top real estate teams in the state of Michigan.
Number 3 in the country.
Number 3 in the country. He is one of EXP Realty's top agent attractors across the globe. He is a loving husband, a caring father. He is the one and only Curt Shewell. Curtis, welcome to the program.
Thanks for being on.
I got to keep you with me all the time, man. That was awesome. You made me sound good. I actually liked myself there. I was like, man.
Man, it's not about making you sound good. You make yourself sound good, man. How you doing, brother?
I am so good. I'm just delighted to be your guys. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Happy to have you on.
As you know, you and I talked at that one event. We were at one of the Real Producer events, and you guys were just out there. And everyone was like, man, these guys are just killing it. Look at this. I got to get on their podcast. And I was literally listening to the buzz in the background. And I thought it was really cool because you guys were just doing your thing. And I was like, these guys are really, really stepping up their game and really getting a presence. So it was really cool. And those are, agents that don't work in the brokerage you work for. They don't work in any of the stuff that we do. And it was really neat to see the respect level you guys have that I don't think you guys even understand, that you guys are really elevating your game big time and being noticed. And that's really half the game. But to get in the right rooms, you got to get noticed. And these people are noticing you. So
thank you,
hats off to you.
I appreciate that.
Thanks for saying that, man. That means a lot to us. And, it's something we started on our leisure time, but it brings attention to our real estate brand as well. Curtis, I want to give maybe a different perspective on Curt Shewell, and I kind of want to take it back to your senior year, man. I thought, to me, when we had done a little bit of research on you, we did a lot of research on you. It was one of those moments that really changed. And you talk about that aptitude test as a senior.
That was high school. So this is high school. Yeah,
high school. And I think this is what's crazy when I really dissected that, You take this aptitude test, there's this paradox that's floating around you without you even knowing it. And the paradox is this. You do this aptitude test, it comes back that you're a used car salesman or going to be a used car salesman. Yeah. And to use your word, it had a loser cliche to it. To
100%.
use your words.
100%.
You sit down, you have a conversation with your father, and he says to you, hey, man, who do you admire? And coincidentally or ironically enough, it's your Uncle George, who's in Florida, who's an unbelievable, successful used car salesman, right? Here's a guy that doesn't like the stigma of a used car salesman, admires his uncle who's a used car salesman, and that's when sales really started to unfold for you. Take us back to that moment. When did you start to realize, hey, maybe this is my calling?
It was really, I thought I was going to be a sports broadcaster. That was literally what I really believed I was going to be. And, Howard Cosell, as I was a kid, was like the big guy, right? Everybody knew Howard Cosell, right? He did the Monday Night Football. And he was awesome. And then Brett Musburger was this guy that wasn't an athlete, wasn't a guy who played all the sports. And all of a sudden, here's this kind of really smart, semi-charismatic guy who's announcing all these games. And all of a sudden, I'm watching TV, and this guy's on everything. He's doing football. He's doing...
Still doing it, Brett.
Brett Musburger, right?
The Raiders.
Yeah, exactly. So this guy, he got the first contract that was $1 million contract, and I was like fascinated by that. I was in high school. I was like, wow, $1 million. Could you imagine making $1 million? And I said, man, this Brett Musburger, I listened to him, and I would listen to how he would talk and what he would say, and I'm like, okay, he resonated to me. Like, I talk like him. I know sports like him, and I could, do play-by-play. And during that same time in high school, I ironically was the guy on the PA doing the announcements every day in school. Yeah. So I was the guy every morning, do.
Oh, no way.
Okay. In the classrooms. And, my tag was, good morning, and here's today's announcements. And I would do that, and everybody used to kind of jokingly tease about it, but it was in a good way. So what happened was it got you noticed, right? So, I was an athlete in school, and I was a pretty good athlete in high school and such. So I was a jock, and I had that group of people. But because I did the announcements, they did an article in my yearbook my senior year, and they said the most popular person in the school. Well, because everybody knew who I was, made me that.
Yeah.
And it's not that I was the most liked person or the guy that all the girls liked. It was
Captain of the football team too, right?
I was. Like I said, I was a pretty good athlete.
Yeah.
So you get a lot of notoriety when you're a good athlete, and if you're the captain and stuff like that. And I was also captain of the track team. So, I was fast. I could, I was an athlete. So what you have though, which was interesting. So I started doing the Continental Cablevision was our cable company before Comcast bought them. And I was doing the play-by-play for the basketball season. My hands were just too small to play basketball. It's just my hands. So anyways, so what happened was, I guess it's all proportionate. Whatever. So what ended up happening, Continental Cablevision had me do the play-by-play for basketball because I knew all the kids in our school, all the athletes, and I knew a lot of the athletes from the other schools too that played basketball because they played the other sports. So I knew a lot of these guys. And when you play, travel baseball and you play these other sports, you come in contact with a lot of the better athletes from other schools and then when they're playing. So you know a lot of the guys. So I did know a lot of the athletes. So when I would call the games, I was good. And I used to emulate in my mind Brent Musburger calling the basketball game.
One of the best. I'll say
and that's how I did it. And I always thought that was my path. So when I took the aptitude test, and it said I'm going to be this, loser, car salesman, used car salesman, and people like laughed, and it was like that was one of my most embarrassing days because you're all in the library where they had a computer and it was something computers weren't around back then, and so it was a big deal. They had these, and that's what really happened. And I went home and I was bawling my eyes out. I didn't want anybody. I played. I was dying. I was like, man, this is not what I thought.
Is it something you still think about till this day?
Today, I think I approach it differently when people say like, so you're a salesman. I'm like, oh, you bet. The greatest profession on the planet.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And just
I own it now.
Just to touch back on what you were saying, you said you cried your eyes out.
I did.
That's when you had that conversation.
I did.
With your
I talked to my
father,
dad.
right? Yeah.
And he referenced two things. One, my Uncle George is my godfather.
Yeah.
And he treated me phenomenal. I to this day, he's since gone to heaven, but he's still one of my favorite people that ever existed. And he was extremely influential to me when I was young, and he really was. And I had told him different times, him and my aunt, I don't know that they truly got how important they were to me. They always were. They were such a huge positive force to me because my uncle, no matter what happened, I was this wild kid, hyper kid, and knocking shit over. And kind of the joke for a long time was when I was at their house, I'll put everything away that's glass because Kurt's gonna break something. And every single time I was at their house, you're screwing around, you're playing around, you're running fast, you're doing stupid stuff in the house, and you knock shit over. And sure enough, it was like, I don't know, there was probably 20 in a row times I'd been in their house, which we were there a lot.
Knocking shit
But
over.
I'd always break something. And it was like, oh God, Kurt, what'd you break this time? And it was kind of a joke. But he was always so cool about it. And my aunt was great too. But he was always like, that's right, I didn't like that one. We had to get a new one of those anyway. He would say things to make it like it was like, oh, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. Because he was a salesman. This guy he just had the tongue, right?
Well, I'm sure he's looking down on you and very, very proud.
I hope
By
so.
the way, my dad was a used car salesman, 4 decades, self-made. He's in an amazing profession.
Right?
So sales was in front of you at that.
Greatest.
He did, and he had a lot of influence, and he was always positive, no matter what. Like I said, I was breaking things that were like, I know that's expensive, and my cousins be like, you're in trouble, and I'm like, oh God, I'm in trouble. I broke something important this time, and he always made it okay.
He knew how to connect.
He did. He was great.
Yeah.
So, and my dad, my dad was always like, hey, look at this, pay attention to these people, surround yourself by the right people. So that was probably one of the best lessons, I got every day of my life was my dad. You are who you surround with.
Yeah.
And my dad, we can think about this too. He was the greaser. He was the biker. My dad started a motorcycle club back in 1964.
He did.
Yeah,
He was one of the 6 guys that started this club that still exists today.
Yeah.
They're in their 60th year.
He rode the Harleys.
What a cool thing. He still has it.
Still has
Did they support this whole sales vision of yours? I
And
know you
did.
went to appliances.
Because my
right
dad, the
after.
second marriage, so my uncle was one, and then my dad, the other thing he had told me in that same conversation I had with him was he said, Kurt, I'm a trade, so I work at in a warehouse and everything. He goes, but all the top people who make all the big money, they're all the salespeople.
Yeah.
He goes, the sales guys upstairs, they make all the money. They wear suits, they always look good, and he always referenced a couple of them because he really liked a couple of them a lot. And he's like, oh, remember when you met him? Remember when you met him? I'm like, yeah. He goes, those guys are the sales guys. And I was, they always look good, look sharp, wearing suits.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. And I was like very accepting of it at that point. That okay, and to your point, next thing you know, I'm selling shoes,
Yeah.
and then I'm selling appliances,
Yep.
and then I'm selling, garbage waste hauling.
Yeah.
Working for the non-mob.
Then you get some traction in sales. Obviously, sales was your vision
Without
at
a
that
doubt.
point.
Without a doubt.
You get a very good position, regional VP manager at Honeywell.
Honeywell, yeah.
It's probably the highest success point of your life at that point.
It was.
At that point,
At
It
that
was,
point,
yeah,
I
for
would
sure.
say. In your head during that time, was that your road to success? Or was there a little voice in the back of your head that says there's a bigger mission further on down the road? Or was Honeywell like that?
Going up through the time I got to Honeywell, I was always chasing money.
Okay.
I knew I could sell. I knew I was pretty good at selling. And the people that I had that competitive drive. From the time I was a kid as an athlete, I played to win. Let me give you an example. When I was married a long time ago, my ex-wife now, but when I was married to her, we were at her sister's and they played a lot of card games. So we played cards, and you'd play euchre and you'd play a couple different card games. And, it'd be just like a couple couples or something. And we would play. And I always did my best to win and, had fun and I enjoyed it.
Win, though.
Because you're competitive and that's just who I am. And I remember her saying to me one time, "Why do you always have to win?" And I was like, "Because I don't know how to play to lose."
Who does?
and I said that. And I said, "You show me a happy loser, I'll show you a consistent loser." Why do you want to ever lose? And she's like, "You just always have to win." I said, "No, I have got my brains beat out a million times in games. But I always said this, and I said this on a stage a couple years back. I was at EXP Con, and they'd asked the question. There's 3 of us up there, and they said, question to the panel, have you ever lost? And the first girl, Veronica, she got it. She said, "Oh yeah, many times, blah, blah, blah." And then this other guy, Chris, "Have you ever lost?" He go, "Oh yeah, I've lost more than I've ever won." And they said, "Curt, you ever lost?" I said, "No." And the whole crowd, there was like 1,000 people. They're like, "Oh, what?" You could just hear this, like,
"Who's this guy?
Who do you think you are?" And I said, "Let me explain. The scoreboard said I didn't win. More than the ones that I did. But I never lost because I never quit. I never gave up, right? And you can say that, hey, I didn't lose, I learned. And I think that that's a great added to anybody that, if that's really who you are, you should be learning because you know why you won. The question is, do you know why you lost? And if you know why you lost, then you learn from that. And then you can fix it, you can get better, you can win. Yeah. Because you've heard of all the best sports teams, Brett Musburger, right?
Yep.
He used to say it, and I remember him saying it one time, a long time ago on a telecast, and he said, you can tell this team's really starting to learn how to win. And I thought, what a stupid thing to say. And then I kept thinking about it because I thought this guy, what he says is like gospel, but yet I'm like, that was stupid. And then I realized the meaning behind it. No, it wasn't, because you have to learn how to win, but you've got to know why you lost. So I always said, if we kept playing, I know the scoreboard says you're crushing me, but if we keep playing, I promise I will outlast you and I will win because you will quit before I ever will. I will win. Yeah. And that was always my thing. So I always had that work ethic. And I think a lot of it had to do with the fact, Bernard, nothing ever came easy. And I think nothing good does. Right.
I love that. I love what you said. I love what you said about not losing. And something you said that really caught my interest is you said I was chasing money.
Oh, yeah. It's
been my experience in the past. When I chased money, all it did is run. But when I worked hard and I put my attention to it and I earned it the right way and did things, it was much more rewarding. I was making money at that time.
No doubt.
And Dominic asked a great question. You do the aptitude test. You start getting some traction in your career. You're going through sales jobs. You get to the regional VP of Honeywell. Mm-hmm. I mentioned in the intro, loving husband, caring father.
Thank you.
And I know you're gaining traction. Dom asks, "Hey, did you feel like this was your ultimate vision and purpose in life?" And I know at that time there was a life-altering event that you went through.
Yeah.
There's 2 unbelievable quotes. But I want you to talk about that, and I want to tell you what our takeaway was when you speak about it and how it resonates to a lot of us.
Okay.
It's a pivotal point in your life, I'd figure.
Oh, for sure. I talked about it on, that Amazon Prime, my story that they featured me on, which was really neat. And I said, there's a guy, Neil Feldman, he was back at Highland. He was my supervisor, and he was the guy that promoted people to management positions. And I was supposed to be promoted up to a assistant manager. And when that happened, it was a big deal. And I was young and dumb and, immature and all these things.
Making money too.
But I was making money.
Yeah.
So I was kicking ass, and, kicking butt. And,
No,
All
ass
right,
is
you're
good, man.
ass is good.
I was kicking ass and doing well. And what, everybody's like, oh yeah, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. And he came in to interview me and he said, you're coming to interview you. And we just chatted for, probably a good half an hour, 45 minutes about parties and girls and stupid stuff. And he's leaving and I'm like, where are you going? He's like, oh, I got to go. And I'm like, I thought we were going to have the interview, go to lunch. And
It's
he's
happened to me before.
there you go.
When you said it, I literally thought about the time where I had worked at Home Depot for about 6 years, and there was a time where I was doing better than the people that are tenured there.
Yeah.
But I was like 21.
Right.
I had done 2 interviews.
I was
for
22 at that time.
for a management position. I kept not getting it. Solid interviews. I would practice them. I know the interview questions that are coming.
Yeah.
Later on, they would tell me a question and say, "Hey, it's just not ready yet."
Yeah. He told me I was too mature.
So what he said to you?
Yeah.
He said you're too immature.
Yeah. He said, I can't promote you right now.
Yeah.
You're too mature. And I'm like, we didn't even have the interview. He goes, Curt, remember, you're always being interviewed.
Yeah.
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 And that was a life lesson I never forgot because it knocked me right down. It knocked the wind out of me so hard.
Can I say something about that? I know you're a follower of Christ like I am.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the lesson for me that I took. Rejection is God's protection. God to them, or maybe God didn't reveal your value at the time because you weren't assigned to their destiny.
Well, I like that.
It's true.
I
It's true.
I just say it this way. If you want God to laugh at you, tell him your plan.
Yeah.
He's laughing. He's like, that ain't your plan. I'll put you there when I want you there. But you have to be open to him. At the same time, you have to be able to see what he's putting in front of you. And the opportunities are there. And this goes back to where you're going with, as I was, back to Honeywell, I was at the pinnacle of where I was going to go. And at Honeywell, without a master's degree, you couldn't go higher than that.
Gotcha.
So you had to have a master's to get that. So I had to go through a Six Sigma class. And Craig Johnson, love this guy. He was my boss at the time. And they ended up promoting me to the same level of him when I got this. And he helped me do it. And I always found that was interesting because the best people try to pull you up and bring you up there. Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
They don't try to keep you down because you're going to be equal or above them. He was trying to get me there. And this is probably, if he's not the smartest, he's got to be within the top 3 smartest people I've ever met in my life. And what he literally did for me was got me that certification, which they gave you the same equivalence of having a master's. And I was like, this is crazy. And I got the promotion to regional vice president. And instead of being in the industrial sector, now I'm in charge of Sertran, aerospace, commercial products, and industrial products. I didn't know anything about any of the other 3.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of it. What do I know about aerospace?
You were going to learn quickly.
Next thing you know, I fly out to Morristown, New Jersey, and then we fly from there and we're meeting. We go to Boeing, and I'm on the new 777, which was the first one that ever had a complete control panel that 100% could take off and land through the computer. You never have to touch a single thing.
No pilot.
How cool
That's
was
through
that?
Honeywell?
Yeah.
No way.
How
I didn't
cool
know
was that? And I was like, this is really cool. So it was really neat because I became the ultimate of sales. What would be the ultimate, right? I want to be the guy that, hey, let's get my people with your people. We'll do lunch and we'll put a deal together.
Correct.
Right? That's like the pinnacle. And that's what I always strove for. I was now that guy. And I'm like, this is amazing because I don't know nothing about any of these things. I don't know how our products work. I haven't got a clue.
But
I just need to know who needs them and how much do you need them.
Yep.
And I'm sure we can put this together because we're a monster company and we're the best at what we do. Let's put my best people with your best people. Let's you and I do lunch, sit down and figure this out. And I was very good at that. And it came very natural.
And that's for us, sales that's how it's defined. We're in the business of earning your trust and servicing you at the highest level.
Yeah.
If people want to say there's a stigma attached to that word, but the truth is that you're servicing people and earning their trust.
Yeah.
And you're doing it at the highest level.
Yeah. I was always great at forming the relationships. I just didn't think of it that way. And that's when I learned that, okay, this is a relationship business. And okay, I'm actually pretty good at doing that. But then what happens though too, you get, my own brother, he had said to me one time, he's like, yeah, but you're just salesy. You're so salesy. And I was like, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. I'm a chest out, and after I thought about it, I'm like, do I come off salesy? If I do, then I don't come off genuine. If I'm not coming off genuine, then I'm not succeeding. And it was something I really fought with myself. I had trouble with that. And I liked being the salesy guy,
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be the salesy guy because that's the slimy guy. That's got the negative connotation.
Yep.
If you're the genuine guy who's helpful, that can create relationships, now you're revered, and now you become that guy.
Well, I think what makes you even more unique is you don't come off as having the other person believe what you're saying. You deliver the message where you believe that where they believe that you believe what you're saying.
100%.
That's where it becomes special.
You believe in your own product.
I do.
You believe what? Yeah, exactly.
Otherwise, I can't sell it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not that I couldn't get somebody to buy it, but I can't sell it.
Right, right, yeah.
Because there's no integrity in that.
Yeah.
And that was the piece I think that I felt people missed. Like, oh yeah, you're just selling me something. Well, then I'm doing a lousy job.
Yeah.
Even though you bought it, I'm doing a lousy job, because if you're not seeing the value in it, then I haven't come across the right way. And I learned that back in the hot appliance days.
Yeah.
Because I watched these guys, and here's a true story. Here's a confession. Right? I don't know if I've ever told this.
Is this exclusive?
Yeah, I think so. I was listening to, and getting in the right rooms is something that I've become good at doing. And
We're gonna get into that, so don't
when
give
people
it away.
ask me about it,
Don't give it away.
I didn't even, when I was first asked about that, how do you do that? I was like, I don't know. You just do it.
Yeah,
Right?
right,
And
yeah.
I hadn't really broke it down.
Sure.
So I hadn't thought of it that deep. I just knew that I was trying to, and I didn't really think about explaining it or teaching it. And now I've got there, and we'll go there. But the truth was, when I was, even at a young age, when I was selling shoes at Tom McCann's shoe store, or when I was selling appliances, what I was really great at was, people hate people that are having success, and they want to bring them down because somehow it makes them self gratification. It makes them feel better about themselves.
Very true.
Right? And that's like the worst thing on the planet.
Hurt people hurt people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hurt people hurt people.
That's right.
Man, well,
That's
I
right.
love that. I'll give you that. I'm going to take that one with me.
Yeah.
So if you hear me repeating that,
Yeah.
I got it from Bernard. That's a good one. I love that.
It's true.
Oh my
It's
God.
so
It's
true.
so true.
It's
And that's
so
so
true.
deep. You
Yep.
could go for an hour on that.
Yep. Yep.
So what I found was I didn't resent these people. I didn't hate these people. I wanted to know how you do that. It just naturally gravitated, because again, the competitive thing, when you played ball, well, who's the number one team? Them? Oh, we're going to knock them off.
Yeah.
That's who we're going to beat.
But you're also going to watch
Right?
them and how they beat people.
That's what if you're whatever state you're in or whatever team, Michigan, Ohio State, they could go 0-9 to that game. You beat Ohio State, you had a good year.
That's right. That's right.
But you lost 9 other games. That don't matter.
Coach's contract is renewed.
Yes, right. That's right. Ohio State, when Urban Meyer went there, hated it, right? Because the guy was a winning coach. What did he say?
Didn't lose to Michigan.
No. What did he say?
As long as I beat Michigan.
It's this many days, this many hours, this many minutes that we play Michigan because we are beating them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm scared of that guy. Holy smokes,
team.
right?
That's
He's bringing it.
And he did.
And he did. And he never lost, right? So just to digress off of that. So what I did was I always looked at the leaderboard. Who's the top salesperson? When I got into real estate, Pulte Homes, and I was the first thing I did. The very first sales meeting I was in, they had a leaderboard, and it was in the room. So when we went to the meeting, went to the corporate office, we sat down. First thing I did was I sat across. I picked a spot to sit, so I wasn't in the front and I wasn't in the back. I was in the middle, but I was off to the side so I could see the room, because I want to read the room.
Right.
And across from me was the board. So I sat where I could see the board. And my first notes I was writing down was who the top 3 people were. And I said, I got to figure out who they are in this room, because that's who I need to be sitting with next time.
You want to watch how they
Because
move.
I want to hear what they say. I want to see what they see. I want to understand how they have the success they have. So I never hated the leaders, because I want to make sure I was better than them.
Yeah.
Right. And I want to beat them. And so I need to know who they are, and I need to know what they're doing. So here's my confession. I had appliance, new to the real aggressive commission only sales game where it's cutthroat, dog eat dog. It's a tank of sharks, and they'll steal your client in a minute, and they'll cut your throat. They don't care. And I was like, wow. I'm 19 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, this is the real deal, right? This is where the rubber hits the road. And these guys are beasts. These guys are animals. And the top 2 people, I was like, all right, one was a really nice guy, and the other one was kind of the jerk in the office.
Sure.
And everybody hated him, but he was killing it. So I'm like, I got to figure out how he's doing that.
Imitation
and I
is
want
a
to
flattery, man. Form of flattery.
It is. So what did I do? I always called myself a parrot. If I hear you say it, I'll practice it so I can say it just like you or better. So I always said I'm parroting, and they're like, what does parroting mean? I'm like, 'cause I'm listening to what they're saying, and I'm practicing. It's a script.
Yeah,
I'm just practicing my script, and I'm learning it, and I'm internalizing it, so it comes out my way, so it's genuine, it's natural, and now it's real. And I could crush with that, because I'll remember it, because it's my script. It's not
Fine-tune
yours,
it.
right? Just fine tuning.
Yeah.
Right? So that's how you do it. People are, I want to tweak your script, and they just try to read your script. It's a joke. Learn the script. I learned their script, and then I made it mine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, in doing so, this one guy, the slimier of the 2 guys, right? He was the guy that would tell people, oh yeah, I just sold this one to my parents. I just sold this one to my sister. Matter of fact, my uncle bought this one. And then I'm like, dude, how do you remember everyone that your family bought? And he goes, I don't even have a brother. I don't have an uncle. I just make it up.
You did make shit up.
On the
And I'm
fly.
like, and I'm like, literally, I go, naive dumbass. You're lying to these people? Like, you can't do that, can you? And he's like, it's all bullshit. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess it doesn't matter. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Here's what happened. So I did it a few times, sold some people some stuff. I'm like, yeah, this actually works.
Yep.
Lying to these people, it's great. It's not, but I'm like, cool. So here's what happens. I get this couple in, I'm 19.
Yeah.
They're probably 25, 26, 27, somewhere in there, and they're a newly married couple. And TVs were those big console TVs, big piece of furniture. And they come in, and they're like, yeah, we want to buy one of these TVs, blah, 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 console TV. So I look at it, show them to them, and they're like, okay. I go, oh, this is the one I sold my parents. I'm like, I got the line down, dude. And I said it like, they're like, oh, no kidding. I'm like, oh, it's the best one by far. Because this is the one we made the most commission on.
Yeah.
Right? That's the one I want to sell. I don't want to sell them that one. I don't make nothing on that one. We make money on this one. I want to buy this one. So I tell them that, give them this line of crap. Here you go. And they're like, okay, well, we'll be back. And we always had the adage, there's no such thing as be back. The minute they leave, they're going to go down somewhere else. Somebody else is going to sell them. You're not going to get them.
Go back to the
So I'm closing hard. They leave. I promise we'll be back. So this is on a Saturday. We're busy as heck all day long. They come back on Sunday. And sure enough, they come back. And I'm like, oh, hey, guys. You remember their faces. Hey, how you doing? And like, yeah, we're here. We're back to buy it. And I'm like, awesome. What were we buying? And they're like, the TV. I'm like, awesome. Which one?
With your parents.
And she goes, the one you sold your parents. I'm like,
no clue.
Great. I've said that on 27 different TVs in the last 2 days. I don't know which one they're talking about. I don't remember if they wanted the count. I don't know nothing. And the couple looks at me, and she kind of looked at me like you are right now. Like, And the guy's like, yeah, okay. And the wife, she's like, she goes, you don't know which one we're talking about, do you? I said, of course. The one I sold my parents. Oh, boy. I'm in big trouble here.
Oh, man.
And I was like, oh, God, oh, God. So I look at the husband. I was perceptive enough to at least catch this. I look at him, and he's looking over here. The portable TVs are here. The consoles are over here, and he's looking right at them. And he's looking down here. And there's only two that we always try to sell because these are the two we make money on. One was an RCA, one was a Zenith.
Okay.
And I'm like, shoot. And they all come in two different colors, a dark wood and a light wood, right? So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at him, and she goes, are you trying to figure out which one he's looking at? And she hits him, and she says, don't look at the TV. I go, no, it's this one over here. At least I know I'm going down the right row. And I'm like totally winging this thing, going, oh, my God, I'm exposed.
Yeah.
And I can't admit that I lied to them.
What ended up happening?
I got really lucky.
Yeah.
Because we get down there, and she goes, which one? Because she is already not letting it off either.
Yep.
She is so upset because she trusted me and believed me.
Yeah, and I just want to interject and say this. I gave you that look because I know how impactful that moment was in your life. You're telling the story like it happened yesterday. It was so impactful. Mm-hmm. And it's
I said I'll never do that again.
It's a great story to share. It's a lesson learned. It's a lesson learned. And I want to add one other thing. We're going to get to the real estate piece. Conversely to what you said, we talked about imitation being a form of flattery, and we picked up on other people to be successful in sales. You're an unbelievable content creator. So conversely to that, there's hundreds and thousands of real estate agents picking up what Curt Shewell is putting down, whether that's emulating some of your speaking, whether that's putting out some of the similar content that you put out. So I think that is an unbelievable compliment to you as well. Yeah,
well, that's flattering, and I'm hopefully it helps them, and I really do. I hope it all works, and I don't care where they work. I don't care what company they're at.
Yeah.
If we can all think about this, right? And I really believe this, and I think it's important. I was talking to an agent literally this morning, and she's out of New Jersey, and she's talking to this other gal, and she's at our brokerage, which is EXP, and the other girl was a Coldwell Banker. And she said, hey, Curt, I'm trying to get this girl to sit down with me. Could you meet with us and get on a Zoom? I said, yeah, of course. And she says, well, here's what I'm struggling with. I said, what's that? She goes, the girl said, why are you trying to meet with me? We're competitors. Why would I want to sit down and have a cup of coffee with you? She goes, unless you're trying to recruit me, which I don't want you to do that, why would I ever meet with you? You're my competition. I said, then you need to have a conversation with this girl and explain, because we're not. Think about this. Right? It's only 10, 12% of all the agents sell most of the homes. Right? 90% of the homes are sold by a small group of us.
For sure.
So if you think about that for a second, when's the last time you and I, Bernard, we work at the same company down the street from each other. When's the last time you and I were fighting over a listing?
Not happened.
Never.
Yeah, never.
Zero. It's never happened,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Zero. Tom, have you and I ever been after the same client?
No.
Wow, how could that possibly be? We're in the same market. We're only a couple miles from each other. Oh my God, we almost have. We're not.
Yeah.
We're not. And think about this: as a real estate agent, every time you're closing a deal, there's an agent on the other side of the table.
Yeah.
Is that your competition? No, this is the one I love because I was able to put a deal together. They accepted my offer, or I accepted theirs, so they could put their client together with mine.
They've actually helped me with deals before when I first
They
started.
are my friend because we closed a deal together. I need to be a great relationship builder of all these agents, so they come to me with what they have, so I can come to them. And when it's a competitive situation where, hey, you've got 5 offers, I need you to take mine.
100%.
Right? Why would you be my enemy? I need you to be my friend.
Isn't that what we coach?
Yeah.
Isn't that what we teach?
100%.
That's absolutely right.
We are not competition. My God.
Think about the long-term effects of that as well. Maybe an agent attraction, maybe partnering, and
Everything.
working, everything.
It's a network thing. It's a network thing too.
It's 100%.
Yeah, it's a network thing
I build
too.
networks of people. That's what I
know.
do. And that's where opportunities come. And if you're open to it and you keep your eyes open, you'll see these. And yes, I learned that through tragedy with my daughter. And that was probably the biggest change, pivotal in my life, of really live the right way. And it was the most humbling experience, which all I had to remember after that was stay humble. Every day I wake up and tell myself, you ain't all that. Stay humble.
Yeah, and thank you for mentioning that. I was talking about 2 quotes that had really resonated with me in watching your story and doing a little bit of research on you. And you said 2 things. You said, I was able to see things that I was never able to see. And I think
100%.
And the second thing you said that was so super powerful was my purpose in life at that point was to help other people.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that just a little bit?
Oh yeah, and it kind of feeds right into what we're talking about.
Yep.
And what I learned when bad things happen in your life, they're gonna happen. It's how you react to them that makes the difference. My wife and I talk about this all the time. I adore my wife. I think my wife's wonderful. It doesn't mean she does everything right. Doesn't mean she's always acts the right way. Just like me, I certainly don't do everything right. Lots of times I don't. But I make up for it if I don't, if I realize it, right? And it's about doing the right things the best you can at the time. And what happens is, in a pressure situation, people react to what's happening in the present, what's happening right now, and you react to it. Good, bad, right, or wrong. We react. So what I've learned to be better at is not reacting outward what I'm feeling inward. Because typically the first reaction is probably not the best one, because I'm reacting to the situation. I'm not looking at the situation. I'm not evaluating the situation. I'm not giving it that 10 seconds to just go, okay, hold on. You just got the most horrific news.
An emotional reaction.
I can fall apart because emotions are raging through me.
Right.
Or I can go, hold on, the rational side has to take a look at this just for a second, or I'm going to burst out with something that I probably shouldn't. And you can't take back what you say or what you do. You can try to make up for it, but you can't take it back. You can hope to get forgiveness for it when it's the wrong thing, but you have to ask for that. And I think most people don't ask for it, therefore they don't get it.
Yeah.
And then they're angry with the other person for holding that grudge or that feeling. And you created it, and I've created plenty of those in my life. So what I've been able to do is go back and try to correct most of those, and I haven't been able to do it successfully in a lot of them, and that's okay because some people aren't open to it. And
true.
And sometimes I've done things out of anger, or I've done things or said things when you're in those emotional states.
Sure.
So I have to be able to look at it. So when my wife always says, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna do something? And it's like, hold on, I'm literally calculating the 5 different scenarios in my head of what I should do or shouldn't do. And none of these, if I do on the split second, are probably gonna be the right thing. So, you hold back for a second and you evaluate. And I've learned to do that because anything that happens to me or in front of me or as I'm there, none of it's worse than what's happened to me.
Yeah.
So if I can live through that, I can certainly live through this moment of, hold on a second. I just need what I always call clarity breaks. Let me clarity break. Let me look at this. If I do that, what happens? Well, this will happen. Some of that might be good, some of it might not be. And I might get gratification for about 8 seconds and then regret it 10 minutes from now. Or I can look at it and say, okay, what's the best way to deal with this? So I've gotten good at that. And I don't know if that's really what people want to hear, but that's what helps me make the better decisions. So when I made the quote about, I was able to see things that I was never going to see or never saw, it was because the worst possible thing that happens, my daughter has got brain tumors. She's, got cancer. The prognosis is she'll probably die. this is not good. None of this is okay. I'm not okay with it, you know? And then I have to get right with God because hold on a second. This is so outside of I can't control this.
That's what I was going to ask. Was it a confidence in your faith as well?
100%. Because I had to go, hold on a second. I'm looking at the footprints and I'm looking up going, please tell me these are yours. Right. And I live by footprints because this helps remind me that it ain't my journey. We're along for the ride. Yeah. Right.
I love what you say about that, brother, and thank you for sharing it. And I see even your facial expressions changing, and I think all of ours are. And thank you. And
because you feel it,
of course,
because it's real, because it matters.
And the thing that really struck me is you said it truthfully. You said it was God's plan.
Oh yeah.
You said it was God's plan. And
that never would have been mine.
I know.
Right.
I know.
Because I didn't know what I was going to learn, what I was going to see.
Correct.
What a gift.
What a gift.
I look at it now. I know it was a gift. Oh my gosh, what an amazing gift. And I thank God for it every day. I don't thank God that she's gone where I can't touch her, but I do thank God for the experience.
Of course.
And what I mean by that is, right, she has her first brain surgery, comes out of it and nothing works. Her face doesn't work. She can't close her eyes. She can't talk. She can't do anything. And I'm freaking out, right? Inside. Outward, she's looking at me. And I made her a deal. Oh no. No matter what happens, everybody's going to cry. Everybody's going to be upset. Yeah. You look at me, and if I'm okay, you're okay. And I made her that promise before we went into the hospital that day, literally moments before we went in there. And I had to live by that. Inside, I am freaking. I'm about to bust into tears like everybody else. But outwardly, she's going to see me smile. Because I'm going to bring that positiveness. Yeah. Hey, honey. All right, we had that brain surgery. Boy, oh boy. You should see what your hair looks like. Because, hey, I ain't talking about the fact that her face doesn't work. So what and I 100% contribute this to way beyond us, so I go right to God on it. What he allowed me to do is see through the eyes I was supposed to see. I could see the things that she could do. Yes, I recognized what she couldn't do because her right side, she was right-handed, and all of a sudden she can't use her right hand anymore. She had to learn how to write left-handed. She had to learn how to do everything left-handed. She went through, months and months of therapy just to be able to do this, to get the dexterity of her hand back. So she could do this. As long as she put it with her left hand in her right hand, she could hold this. Yeah. And then she would have to put the straw in it, put her finger around it, put it in here, hold her lips shut so she could drink.
What a trooper. Yeah.
It was insane. Yeah. And I watched her do this stuff, and I was blown away by her.
Yeah.
Wow. Never once is she going, oh, look, I can't do this. She was like, give me this so I can do it. And I'm like, and eventually she could talk again, and half of her face woke up. The other half never did. So I always said, you're my little girl with a broken smile. Look at you. The most beautiful smile I've ever seen. Because I could see the half that lit up.
Beautiful princess.
Other people could only see the side that didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, that poor girl. And I would have people tell me all the time in pictures, oh, look at her.
No,
and I'm like, are you kidding me? Yeah. And I would literally take like a business card and I would cover half the picture of her face. And I go, look at that beam and smile. Yeah. Oh my God, you're so right. I go, it's all about how you see it. Did you see that or did you see that?
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah.
And every day of my life, I see that.
Yeah.
I see the smile. I see the side she can. I saw the things that she could do. And I'm like, okay, God, this is what this was all about. I'm not seeing, I took too much for granted. I'm not seeing the beauty of life. I'm not seeing the thing. I don't know how to stop and smell the roses.
Yeah.
I do now.
That's beautiful, man.
I don't miss a rose now,
That's
right?
beautiful, man.
And it's kind of a joking thing is, when I go to the cemetery, and I don't live at a cemetery, and I don't go there every day, and I don't do that. Nope, because I talk to her here. I don't talk to her there,
of course,
right?
Of course.
But it's our responsibility to take care of that little gravesite and make sure it looks pretty all the time. And a lot of family members go there and do their thing, and God bless them for doing it.
That's another gift right there, awesome. Embracing that
It does,
time
because you have something that still represents the fact that she did hang out here.
Yeah,
she was here. Yeah,
she was here, and she mattered, right? So I always leave one rose. We'll put flowers or whatever, and my ex-wife will do things, or my wife will do things.
Was that a favorite flower of hers, or was that just symbolic between you two? Or
okay, oh man, you guys are taking me to a whole nother place here.
You don't even need to answer that. I see you glowing talking about it. So,
all right, I'll say something that only a few people even know. So there's a confession. I don't know if anybody really cares about this, but it was a very monumental moment. At the funeral, once you do everything and you go to the cemetery and everything, which, she was a princess. So she was, we were able to hire the horse-drawn carriage with the glass carriage that Rosa Parks was in. We had the same one. She was buried in that. So she was taken to the cemetery in that. And it was on the front page of the Macomb Daily and all that stuff. And It was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful scene. It was extremely sad. It was a beautiful thing. And I thought, what a way to honor her, because she was so much more important to this world. And I got to know that. And I think that's the greatest gift. Well, at the cemetery, you do the service and then everybody leaves. Well, me, my dad, and my father-in-law went back to where they actually put the urn, which has the casket in it, down on the ground, and then they enclose everything. I wanted to make sure that everything went the way it was supposed to, because to leave it to chance would be unfair. And I think that wouldn't honor her at all. So I went there to do that. And it's a tough moment.
Yeah, I bet.
So I'm standing there. There's this hole. They're lowering the urn into it. And I got my dad, my father-in-law, standing right next to me. And they're literally on my right-hand side. And as it's going down, we left the bouquet of flowers that said "beloved daughter" on the actual urn. So the big thing that enclosed the casket's inside this big, thing that goes down that they secure and seal it, so the elements don't ruin the wood and all that stuff. And I guess everybody knows what that is. So we had the flowers on top of that, and I said, leave them on there, because they said, do you want these flowers? I said, no, those are for her. Leave those there and just bury them on top of that. And the crane picks it up, moves it over, and it starts to go down. And the bouquet of flowers is made of roses. One rose magically falls, rolls, lands about a foot in front of my feet.
How else would you take that? Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
She threw one your way, huh?
she did.
She threw one your way.
Yeah.
My father-in-law and my dad looked at that, looked at me, and they both started bawling.
Yeah.
You got us.
You got us tearing up here. Man.
Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
And I bent down and picked it up, and I laughed. I said, are you kidding me? Seriously?
Yeah.
So I told her I loved her. I thanked her for it. I said, I'll keep it. And I still have that rose. So every time I go, I leave one single rose. We may have a dozen roses or whatever, but I always have one single rose. I buy a second single rose every time. And I just leave it there. And it's just my thing. And I don't say nothing to nobody. And I leave it on the ground on top of where she's actually, her body is buried. She's not there, but her body is. Yeah. And I leave it there just as my little,
So in
here's
between
one
you
back
there?
to you.
Well,
I remember the rose you gave me, and here's one back for you. And that's what I just do. And that's my own little thing. And there's only a few people that even know that.
well,
yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
I guess anybody that hears this.
you said you love her, and we love you, brother. And thank you for sharing
thanks.
that.
Yeah,
Man.
thank you.
So
Thank you for sharing that, man.
that's what the rose thing
Thank
is.
you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Let's fast forward, Dom.
lighten up the
Dom wants to
moment.
ask you
Let's
something.
Yeah, I got people
let's lighten
bummed
up.
out here now. We got to bring some
Hey,
positive,
man, that's
good
the beauty
stuff.
of this conversation.
Yeah.
But those are the things that allowed me to see things so differently, so clearly moving through life. And ever since that day, I refuse to. I see negative things. I see what's wrong. I see the
course.
problem, but I immediately go to fix the problem. Right? Be the solution. Don't be the problem.
Don't be the problem.
right?
Absolutely.
Be the solution to it. And
Absolutely.
Dominic
that's-
has something
that's
for
where
you,
my mind goes.
but I love the piece before you said, don't let external conditions dictate my internal emotions. You said, take a step back, clarity breaks, let me focus, realign my thoughts, and then make the right decision. So I absolutely love that.
Yeah. And you usually will.
Yeah.
Not always, but usually you will.
100%.
Right? Because you got to take the emotion out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true. We're going to fast forward a little bit. You launched with EXP in 2009 as the antithesis of how a traditional brokerage should operate. They did away with the brick and mortar, created a generous structure for commission for all agents. You're sitting here in this spot with your coaching ability, your sales ability,
Your gifts.
all the gifts that you have to give in this industry. And you have a brand new platform to showcase all this. Give us a breakdown of how all this transpired with EXP.
Okay. I contribute this and to divine intervention, right? God's plan, not mine, of how I even got into real estate, and that's because of my daughter. Had she not got sick, to your point, I was a regional vice president. And I was at the pinnacle of where I was going to go there, and you're making some pretty good coin.
Sure.
I was making, like I said, even on the show, I was making 4 times what my dad ever made at
Oh, wow.
the height of his career.
Yeah.
You know? And I was like, we're doing pretty good. You know, we got a nice place. You know, I got a bunch of kids, and you know, I got a beautiful family, and we're living in a nice house, and everything's good. Everything's real good. And then this happens. So take leave of absence. Now you have no money. Now you got other people trying to help you out, and you're trying to scramble, and you're doing anything you can. And I had beautiful people show up.
Nice.
Right. And I think that's another gift that you get is you don't realize who those people are until all of a sudden they're standing there like, hey, I'm here. And you're just like, wow. Right. And it's interesting too, because some of the ones you like immediately go, oh, if this happened, oh, these people would be right there. And they're struggling because they care so much about you, and they care about Stephanie in that sense. They were struggling. So they didn't want to show up because they're falling apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now they're not showing up. And I'm like, where are you? I need you.
Good way to say it's a good,
So
good way to
you're
say
in this
things.
really weird state of flux.
Yeah.
And then other people that you never would have said, oh yeah, they'll be standing here. Like, I wouldn't even ask them because, you know, God, and they're standing there and you're like, oh my God. And again, it's like, okay,
Yeah.
wow, there's some beautiful people in this world.
True colors are coming out.
Oh man.
True
And
colors
they
coming
show up.
Yeah.
And I don't have to ask them. They're there. And I'm like, wow, this is really amazing. So when I say that, I got in a situation where now when, you know, what's really great is, you know, Child Special Services pays for a lot of things and stuff. Well, they don't pay for everything. They pay for a lot of things, you know, and they pay a lot of the doctor bills. And, you know, so you got $2 million in doctor bills, and they're paying most all of it, but not another 150, 200,000 because you're looking for miracle cures that don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you got to pay for that yourself.
Yeah.
So when you start going outside of that realm, and we turned over every rock there was,
I said it's all you.
you do that on your own.
Yeah.
There ain't nobody to pay for it, you know, and people don't understand when you go to, think about this, you go to Children's Hospital and you got to park in the parking lot. Okay, well, it's only $3 a day. No big deal, except for you have to go there every day.
Yep.
And you're in and out because you're trading off, you know, your wife's got to go or
$12
you know,
a
or
day.
my ex-wife's got to be there.
Yeah.
Right. Well, now we're paying, you know, 3 cars in and out of there, or, you know, 2 of you rotating.
They're just piling up. The bills are just piling up.
Yeah.
Piling
And you
up.
start realizing, well, then I got to, you know, and I'm at the hospital, you know, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, 16 days in a row.
Yeah.
You know, and I
Absence
stay
from
there,
work,
and then I'm
yeah.
sleeping there because I'm there through the night to get her up and do all these things. Well, you got to eat out of the vending machines. You got to eat out of the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Okay, no big deal. It's only $6, $7 per meal, times 3 meals or 2 or whatever. Or now you're eating little crap.
Yeah.
And then, you know, the vending machines aren't cheap because they ding you, right? You know, it's $3 for a stupid bottle of pop. Like,
Yeah.
seriously?
Yeah.
You know, and then, you know, you want a Twinkie. Well, that's $2, you know? So you're like, no big deal, except for it's another $5 times this times that. So you don't have any money.
Yeah.
And this stuff starts adding up to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars a month. So you're really in a bad spot and you run out of money. So when these guys show up at my door as a charity, I thought they're coming to take my house. I really did. That's what I thought. I know, does the bank do that anymore? They literally knock on your door and take your house?
And what did you say?
Well, I opened the door. I said, can I help you? And I swear to you, I literally thought, oh my God, they're coming to tell me they're going to take my house.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to do?
But it was different.
And no, yeah, it was. They were from a charity.
Yep.
And the guy said, you know, we got your name and we would like to meet with you and talk to you. I think
what a
we
beautiful
can do
thing.
something to help. And I was like, okay. And I looked at them strange, not because of what they said, it's because it wasn't what I was expecting. And they caught me off guard because I'm thinking, oh, all the worst. And I'm like, sure, come on in. And I'm like, you're from a charity? Like, wait,
What's
what?
the catch?
Who?
Huh.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
who sent you? We
Yeah.
can't really tell you. It's anonymous.
Yep.
But your name was given to us by somebody that cares about you. And they said, we should meet with you. And they're like, wow, you have a really nice house. And you really need help? And I'm like, oh, dude, this is all going away.
Yeah.
And I told them, I thought you guys are coming here to take my house. And I go, oh man, it's bad. And I was going through, like, can we see your bills? And I had a milk crate.
Yeah.
And I brought them out and they're like, I go, well, this one's just the medical bills. And they're like, oh, what about the other stuff? I go, oh, and I get the other milk crate. And I'm like, here's all this stuff. And they're like, wow, that's a lot of bills. I said, no, it's just each file is thick because I'm behind on everything and I'm getting, 4 letters every 3 days, it's like, holy smokes, just, and they're like, well, after a couple hours with these guys, they're like, well, okay, what if we like made this bill and paid this for you, made a house payment? I'm like, well, in 6 days, I'll be right where I was before you came here. Yeah. So it really changes nothing. And I told them I can't really take your money. Not that I don't want it. I mean, I
What did you
appreciate it.
tell them?
Well, I told him, I said, I don't need a hand out. I need a hand up.
Yeah.
And he's like, what is that? I said, I need a miracle job.
It's right. That's right. That's what
And
he
he goes,
said.
you need a miracle job. And they both looked at each other like, I don't think we can perform miracles. And I'm like, that's what I need. And he goes, what's a miracle job? Hence real estate.
Yeah.
And that's also why I was on the Amazon TV show.
Yeah.
They were like, you called real estate a miracle job? I said, was. And the guy said, well, what's a miracle job? And I told him, miracle job, I can sell anything. I know how to sell, and I'm pretty good at it. So I don't care the product, I can sell it.
Yep.
Got to believe in it, but I can sell it.
Right.
And I said, so I need a sales job that's got a huge, something really expensive to sell, that's got a huge ticket on it, that comes with a huge commission. And I have to be able to do it on the go because I'm running to St. Jude and back and Children's and back, and I'm going to all these places, LA Children's Research. We were going to all these places, and you go for, weeks at a time, 4 weeks, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks,
sure.
You're gone for chunks of time. And she has another brain surgery while you're in the hospital for the next, 6 weeks, because you're staying in there. And, she'd end up having 5 surgeries total during all that time. And these are long breaks. So I have to and I told him I have to have a job that allows me to sell these big ticket items with big commissions. Oh, but when I get a phone call, I might have to go to the airport in an hour and I got to leave. And I'm going to St. Jude again, or we're going wherever. Yeah. Or she's getting rushed in. I got to go. And when that happens, I have to be able to leave and walk out the door and have somebody, oh, by the way, close my deals for me, pay me, of course, because, yeah. And then whenever I get back, 2 weeks, 6 weeks, 6 days, 6 months, whatever that is, welcome me with open arms. You find me that job, that's my miracle job, baby. I'm your guy.
Okay. Yeah.
And these guys looked at me as serious as could be, and the guy literally said to me, can you give me till tomorrow? I was like, till tomorrow? Sure. I'll be right here. Yeah. And we laughed about it. And the guy says, okay. And he called me the next day, and then he said, can you take a phone call? I said, yeah. And it was his son that called me. His name was Dave Belzerzak, who was the VP of sales at Pulte Homes at the time. And he said, I know your story and all about you. Matter of fact, you live in a Pulte home. You've gone through the Pulte experience, because we did. We were living in a Pulte house.
Yeah.
And it was great. And he goes, I want you to sell our product, do what because when he first said to me, I want you to come work for me, I'm like, I don't sling a hammer very well. You don't want to be building houses.
I would get that same
and he's like, no, I want you to sell them for me. You live in it, you've gone through experience, and just sell the same product to the same people just like you, families and yada, yada. I'm like, I guess I could do that. Never thought about selling homes, but I could do that.
What year was that?
I started the next day.
What year
2004.
was that? That was 2004. So from 04 to 09 was with Pulte.
08. Yeah. I left at the end of 08 because we started Marketplace Homes.
Yep.
When the market had crashed, and we were solving problems for that.
And then 09 was EXP.
So then, no, EXP started in 09.
You came on board.
I didn't join EXP till 2018 because I had gone through working with the builders. I went through having a brokerage. I went through, running our own brokerage, doing all that stuff. And I became friends with Mark Z.
Yep.
And during that time, I was trying to get Mark to buy one of my franchises. Well, yeah, you got to buy one of my franchises. Take your team and open up, And he's like, wow, I've always considered owning my own. And I'm like, yeah, I already got one. And here, I'll sell you a franchise of mine. It'll be great.
Yeah.
Then we can work together and everything. And he had called me one day when I was at Marketplace Homes, and I thought it was one of the coolest calls I ever got. Mark was top of the food chain. He's the biggest guy around, the biggest team, biggest guy, in Detroit. What a cool thing. He's on the TV, the radio, all this stuff. And I knew who he was. I'd never met him.
Yep.
And I was at Marketplace Homes, and we're killing it, right? I'm helping families left and right. And it was like, wow, this is amazing what we're doing. And it was such a beautiful thing and honor my daughter, because I'm like, man, I am helping so many people in our bad spot, right? You're helping 3 people at once. You're helping the people that lost their house. Mm-hmm. You're helping the people that are stuck, who are trying to move to the next level but can't because their house is not worth what they could sell it for. They owe more than it's worth. And then the builders are all going out of business because the market's completely crashed. The banking's gone under, and nobody can buy houses. So they're losing, and they're mothballing and closing sites and going out of business. So I was able to keep a lot of builders in business, sell a lot of homes from every month, help the people that were stuck, and then help the people that were losing their houses keep their dignity and move them in another house.
Great situation.
Yeah,
all around.
that's pretty good.
I think with the story with Mark and the partnership with you guys and EXP and the agent attraction, the rest is history. I mean, everybody knows that story.
Well, yeah. So when Mark called me that day, he called my assistant. It was funny because she says, hey, you got a phone call. There's only 3 of us working there. It was me, Mike, and it was his idea to start the company, and I just knew how to do it. So we built this thing out and blew it up, and then we had a girl answer the phone, and she says, hey, there's a guy on the phone named, she goes, you ready for this? I go, yeah. She goes, he says his name is Mark Z, the real estate guy. And she's cracking up, and I said, really? It's him? And she's like, yeah, can you believe he calls himself that? And I said, he is the real estate guy. He's the guy. So she put him through, and I talked to Mark, and we met, and he's like, I want to know how you guys are doing this stuff. This is crazy. And I told him, but he just couldn't quite get the one piece. And he's like, man, I just can't do it. I can't do it. And we became friends so that we would talk all the time. And I was like, man, I thought this guy was like this jerk, big guy, thinks he's all that and all that. I'm like, he's actually a really he's a cool guy, but he's smart as heck.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this guy really knows his stuff. So I was learning from him, and he's like, man, I'm learning so much from you. I'm like, I'm learning way more from you. And he's like, no, I'm learning way more from you. And I'm like, well, this is a good symbiotic relationship. And it was really good. And then I tried to get him to buy a franchise, try to do all this stuff. And he's like, one day I'm going to call you. I'm going to tell you, I got it. I'm going to figure out how we can work together. Because he wanted me to come work for him. And I'm like, I can't come work for you. And he's like, I can't buy the franchise of you. I'm going to do it. I'll do my own. And so we were always like, how do we work together? And we could never figure it out. 8 years later. 8 years later.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he called me and literally said, I'm like, hey, bro, what's up? And he goes, I got it. I literally got, right now, I just got chills again.
Wow.
Just like I did that day.
Wow.
I got chills, and I was literally at my brokerage sitting there going, I hate this place. I hate
how
what
long
we're
have you
doing.
been? How long have you two been partners?
And it's 2018. So
2018, 6 years.
6 years.
6 years.
And that's how we got into EXP.
Yeah.
And it was the biggest disruptor in real estate in history.
Yeah.
And it's been amazing. And there's a lot of companies that are popping up now because people are realizing everything's cloud-based.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
All the biggest companies in the world. Think about it. Amazon, right? Biggest company in the world.
Yeah.
Cloud-based. Right? Netflix, one of the biggest companies in the world. Guess what they are?
Cloud-based.
Uber, cloud-based. Now, here's the cool
They
part.
don't even own their vehicles.
EXP started in 2009. Uber started in 2009. WhatsApp started in 2009.
Yeah.
Right? These companies, right? Venmo started in 2009. Airbnb was formed in 2008, launched in 2009.
Crazy.
Not a shock. It's because of the market and everything that happened in 2007.
Smart
By
ones adjusted.
2008, all the smart people came up with how to do it without the problem of the franchise brick and mortar situation. And real estate's been like that since, remember, think about this. Coldwell Banker started in 1906, the franchise model, and it's been duplicated and copied ever since. It's exact setup.
Yeah.
The problem is what real estate agents don't know is it's a pyramid structure. The only person who makes all the money is the guy sitting on
Brokerage.
top.
The top guy.
Right? The top guy. Well, remember, they think the franchisee. No, franchisees are broke.
Yeah.
Right? These people buying franchises,
Yeah.
that's a dead game.
The guy at the top.
There's nobody makes money in franchises.
Yeah.
Right? So in real estate, they don't. Those are going out of business. And they get mad when I say that. Kurt, you stop saying that. It's true.
though. It's true.
Take a look.
It's true.
I mean, it's all
true.
happening
You're
around
bringing
them.
it to light. It's
and
true.
it's all happening.
It's
And
true.
it's not that they're bad people. They're really good and smart people.
Yeah.
The problem is they can't compete in a cloud-based world.
Yep.
Right? So the cloud environment, right? So you take this environment, you take this environment. Well, one lasts, one doesn't because of today. And the reason for it is because technology changed everything. And technology is not going away because we're like, oh, we can't keep up. No, it's going to keep going. So now you have all the new brokerages are popping up left and right, the Me Too's. Hey, me too, me too, me too.
Yeah.
Well, it's like Netflix. There's 370 different places you can stream and buy and pay a subscription every month, but everybody's got Netflix.
Everybody's got
Matter of fact,
Netflix.
go buy a TV set. Netflix is on the remote as a button.
Sure. On the button.
Yeah.
On
That's
the
a button on your remote.
The
Why
strong,
is that, right?
The strong and the smart survive.
First to market.
Yeah.
As long as you continually evolve, you'll always stay top. No one can catch you. And these are like, oh, we'll be like them. Well, you'll be a version like them. You'll never be them. And the reason for it is because the top people, once they learn that, they come and they go there. So that's what makes it so powerful. You can duplicate a system, but you can't duplicate the people.
Gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the Me Too's, what you have is a lot of people, hey, it's ground floor. We're going to do what they did. Well, the chances of you striking lightning twice to do it identically what they did is so next to impossible because everybody's watched what happened. Now you see how that happened. Well, then they try to duplicate. Well, you can't duplicate something that's not duplicatable because it's the people and it's the people. Now they're there. Well, they're not going anywhere. Well, these other people are like, well, we'll get this person. Well, you can, but you're Me Too. Remember, I want a ground floor breaking opportunity at a company that's actually proved they can do it.
Correct.
Because there's my ground floor opportunity with somebody who's actually weathered the storm.
Yep.
I can do it there because they're going to continue to grow at 5, 6, 7, 9 to 1. Like right now, EXP grows 9 to 1 over the closest other competitor.
Yeah,
and it's not that these are bad people. They're great.
Yeah.
And it's a great company.
Yeah.
But that company can't emulate and duplicate the same
reason
thing
behind it.
because what they had to do is to get on board, they had to go out and borrow money. So when you start looking at these ground floor opportunity, most of you will never make it. So
Correct.
to say, I want a
They're
ground
dead in the
floor
water.
opportunity. Yeah, they've already
Yeah.
lost before they start, but they
Yeah.
don't know that.
Yeah.
So they go and it's like, hey, we got the shiny this, or we'll give you this, or it's everything's free, or everything, hey, we're gonna do the same as them and our IPO will be great. Well, there's a reason that the other two that have one tried to go public and couldn't, who actually has 5,000 agents, and the other one who's got 10,000 or a little more than 10,000 agents now, and they're trying to hang on because they're not profitable. So why is that? Think about this. at EXP, here's the other differentiator, and this is what people don't understand, and you have to explain it to them. And if they're just looking at shiny objects, they're not going to see it. But the truth is this: over 70% of the company of EXP is owned by us.
Yep, the agents.
So we don't have outside interests controlling any decision making within the company, right?
True.
Now, why does that matter? Well, it matters really simple, because if you take, like, for example, Real, which is a cloud company, and the second as far as in people and all that, they're not profitable. Not that they're bad people or bad company. They're not profitable because they had to borrow all their money to build their company.
Not the best business model.
The owner of Real owns less than 3% of his company.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any more to give. So if you don't have a sustainable model, you can't exist, and this is the biggest problem. How do you show? This is why they don't show profit.
Yep.
Because the people that are doing it are investors who own the company, right? Two of the biggest hedge funds, the Israel guys that own the bulk of that company.
Yep.
You think about what they're doing, which is great. They want return on their investment.
Of course.
They're in there for the money. They're not here to make friends.
Yeah.
Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just capitalism at its best. But the truth is, well, they want to return on their money. Well, when there's no money for them to get given the ownership of the company anymore, he's down to 3%, that's all he owns. Well, he can't give any more away. Well, what decisions are made? Who's making them? It certainly isn't the agents.
Nope.
Because the agents have no power play here at all, no control, no ownership in the company. They have shares, but they don't have any shares that equal anything. So when that happens, these guys decide what you do. Well, there's only two places for the money to come from. Either one, right, giving equity or ownership to the company, which there isn't more to give, or two, from where the money comes in, which is the agents. So they have to go there to get money.
We talked about that.
They're
too.
not profitable
We talked
for
about
a
that as well.
reason.
Yeah.
And now the only place they're going to get their money is if they squeeze the agent. Well, the minute they squeeze agents, what are they going to do? They're going to freaking jump to the next happy thing.
That's right.
Of course.
That's
So
right.
this is why when we talk about sustainability, it's so important. you got the other one. There's one out there, right? That's a good named company. The problem is, again, these aren't owned by real estate people. Keep that in
Treading
mind.
carefully with what we're saying.
It's okay. I get where you're going.
Real estate people don't own these companies.
No, point taken, and it's so
you're
true.
in an industry that, remember you asked me, Curt, you got to believe in your product?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a real estate guy 20 years.
Yeah.
I believe in my product and I know my product. These other people aren't even real estate people I'm going to create this cash cow. Well, you can't buy a cash cow. You have to have one that immerses. The problem is they're like, oh, we're going to immerse. You're not. You're not buy
It takes time.
So you got the ones that we're going to be flat fee. So one of them is a flat fee company.
Yeah. True.
Well, there's no money in a flat fee one.
No,
Oh, we're going to grow and
talked
have all
about
this.
that
Yeah,
We're
we
going to
did.
get
Talked about
ownership
that
and
also.
stock. Well, you can give equity, but if there's nothing in the equity, what does it equal to? Nothing. And then the other one that's, the little buzz around our little town, I'm laughing, is not that they're bad people again, and not a bad idea. The problem is everything's free.
Yeah. Okay.
Gotta be a
Okay.
catch to it.
Somebody's paying for it. Oh no, some corporate billionaire is he's on his deathbed saying, I'm going to keep going until my billion runs out.
Yeah,
Well, I can tell you what, with 35 things that are all free, that'll run out pretty quick. So
Those of you listening, take note, man. That's some powerful stuff. It's so true too.
Just pay attention.
When
Do the
you
math.
unpack it all,
I
it's
got
so
a
true.
Quick question is 2024. Do you consider yourself still a real estate agent or a sales real estate coach? Because you talked a lot about it. Everyone now would be listening, be like, oh, is he an agent or is he what we know you as one of the top coaches in the industry?
thank you. I take pride in that because I do. I pour into the agents every day. I coach and teach every day for free. I don't take money for it, right? I do it for free.
You do.
Yeah, because I want to make sure that the agents, think about this. What if our industry, think about this for a second. Here's NAR, National Association of Realtors, came out with their report a couple weeks ago, and what did it say? Think about this. There's 1.6 million. It's like 1.5889 something million real estate agents. So 1.6 million real estate agents licensed in the United States. There's another 400,000 that licenses are in holding, so they're not active. So there's like 2 million. But 1.6 million active licenses. 57% of the agents with an active license sold 0 homes in 2023. 0 homes. 57%.
57%.
57%. That's NAR's number
Yeah.
because they have everybody's number.
Yeah.
57%. Guys, that means less than, 700,000 agents are the ones that sold all the homes?
Yep. No, then you break that number down.
You ready
to,
for this?
Yeah.
900,000 agents of the 1.6 million of them, 900,000 work for these franchises that are going out of business.
Yeah.
These brick and mortars can't absorb the cost.
Can't hang. Yeah.
Then you got all the Me Too pop-ups coming up for the cloud, which is where everybody's shifting to. The problem that you have is you have sustainability issues because they're borrowing money to pop up on the market today. Well, it's a hard play, guys. It's not going to work because of those reasons. So look at the ability to have it. What's ground floor? Like I said, I want a ground floor opportunity of a company that's proven. I don't want a ground floor opportunity of a company that's ground floor who hasn't done anything.
Correct.
I'm going to lose my rear end, and now my reputation gets hurt. So I'm not saying EXP is the only place in town you have to work there. It's not. It's not for everybody. Right. I get that, and I'm not suggesting that it is. What I am suggesting is when you get in the room with the right people, and you're able to be masterminding with the top people in this industry across the country, and they're at other brokerages too. But when you're in those rooms, more doors open to bigger rooms. And when your mind goes there, what am I? I'm way more than a real estate agent. Am I a real estate agent? Yes. Can I help somebody buy or sell a house? Of course I can. Do I still do a few a year? Yeah, of course I do.
Let me interject.
But that's not, my focus is how do I get every single agent that has a license to learn how to actually do this the right way? What would our industry look like then if everybody actually sold houses?
Yeah.
Now remember, stop selling. We don't sell anything. We help people buy and we help people sell. And when you get your head right there,
we have that value.
You'll start increasing your value prop all day long. And people will actually choose you as their agent because they know that you actually care about them. They don't care what you know until they know what you care. You got to care about them. Let me find out what they need so I can at least take them down the right path. If all I'm doing is trying to sell them something to make a commission, then I'm just like I used to be, that guy at Highland Appliance selling appliances trying to make a buck.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing anything for anybody else to increase the value of their lives. Now I can.
This is what I wanted to mention. I love that. So, I got it because we got 2 questions left for you, and we're gonna let you
get
go.
Me going.
It's been a crazy day.
No, it's all right.
You said you get yourself in the room with the right people.
Always.
So here's what I want to say about you. You always talk about having a seat at the table. Mm-hmm. You always talk about get yourself in the right room.
Oh, yeah.
I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. You have not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 billionaires on speed dial.
Yeah, I had a feeling that's where you're going.
Is that accurate? Is that true?
Yeah.
4 billionaires.
Yeah,
With a B.
Your network is your net worth, right?
It really is. And the funny thing about that is now I have more people ask me probably about that than anything else right now. Because it's like, how do I get in these rooms? How the heck do I do that?
How did you get him the phone book?
Well, the funny part is I was chasing money as a kid, right? And then through all my trials and tribulations of these places I worked as a sales guy, I was always like, man, I want to be in a room with a millionaire.
Yeah.
I want to be talking to someone who makes $1 million.
You got 4 of them now?
No, that was $1 million. I wanted to be in a room with a millionaire. Well, then what happens is you start elevating into leadership or management or whatever you have, and then you start being in a little bit higher the food chain of people making money. So you start realizing this person fell into it. This person got lucky. This person's really good. That one's amazing. These people are holy smokes. I need to be in the room with them now because wow, do they think different than I do, right? Boom. So when you said, how did it all come about joining EXP? I got Mark, when he said I got it, I met with him the next day and we got on a conference call with 6 people. These 6 people were 6 of the biggest people in real estate in the entire world or the United States. And these guys are monsters on their business, but they never talked for 1 second, a 30-minute call, never talked one second about how to sell another house, how to open another lockbox, which is what I expected on the call. Oh, these guys are great real estate guys, how to close more deals, right? Because I'm still thinking the art of the deal.
Yeah.
Right? I was dumb. And I went into there thinking dumb.
That's a book.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a book, right?
Last question's about a book, but you keep going.
And in that, they talked for 30 minutes about how to run a successful real estate business. And I was like, oh, mic drop all day.
Yeah.
We hung up the phone and Mark tells the story all the time. I started pacing in the room, man. I was like, okay, holy smokes. Okay, Mark. And he is sitting there laughing his butt off. He's sitting at his desk just cracking up as I'm pacing in his room and I'm writing on his whiteboard, and I became the king of the writing on the whiteboard thing, and that's kind of my thing.
Still known as that.
Still, I'm that guy. I am that guy in all my videos, because it's like, oh my God, if you can see it,
just gotta put it down.
do it. We talk about hitting targets. We talk about this stuff in coaching, training, and leading people, right? If they can see the target, they can hit the target. You're shooting in the blind, you're shooting in the dark, you can't hit anything, right? Luck. Well, you want to cost your life on to hopefully I get lucky? Well, I'd rather be lucky than good. I've had that, and I used to say that. How about I create opportunities that the better I do that, the luckier I just seem to be.
Yeah.
There is no luck in it, guys.
No.
It's opportunities, it's network, it's relationships, because that person can open the door that leads you to that room so I can get a seat at that table. And boy, oh boy, when you sit at these tables, it changes. Next thing you know, now there's billionaires in that room. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I was surrounded with some millionaires. I'm talking to billionaires.
Yeah.
With the
And I
B.
literally was
Yeah.
like a little kid, be honest with you, the first time. I'm like, he's a billionaire. Oh my God.
Yeah.
He took a picture with me. And I was like a little child again. And then you have to keep from being giddy. And you're
Correct.
like,
Yeah.
wow, this is so cool. But then I learned, ask good questions. You know what they want to talk about? Who are their 3 favorite people? Me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
Why don't you ask them about them? Because nobody else does.
Gotcha.
And I'm
There's
like,
the key right there.
Yeah.
There's the key
that
right
was
there.
my magic. So people are like, what's your secret?
Yeah. Yeah.
Walk up to them.
He likes that too, the me, myself, and I. It's so true.
It is.
It's so true.
And I'll go ask them about them.
Yeah.
You know what they love to talk about?
Me, myself, and I.
Them.
Me,
Yeah,
myself,
you
and I.
bet. Those 3 people, they're favorite.
I love it. You certainly practice that. Curtis, last question, and Dominic's going to close us. Do you ever split the difference when you negotiate?
No.
Well, here's why I ask. I
used to.
I need some truth to this.
I used to.
Chris Voss, American author, Wall Street Journal bestseller, never split the difference. Former FBI hostage negotiator.
Yeah. Baddest in the business.
Are you writing a chapter in his book? Tell us
am.
about that. Let's close on that,
Yeah.
and Dominic will
that
end us.
rumor.
Tell us
you.
about that, please.
Real proud of that. That was something that, again, you have to pay attention to opportunities that are presented. I was in Hollywood at the Beverly Hilton, and I was getting the award for my TV show, which was really cool.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that
we
was
talked
pretty
about
neat.
that off.
And that's all my wife's doing. It's her fault. I even got in that thing. But I get this award, and I come off, and this guy says, there was 3 of us that got actual awards for our show. And he says, I really was compelled to reach out to you because of your story. I really was, wow. He goes, that just hit me. And you're so positive and you're so just uplifting. And he goes, and I was listening to you speaking earlier today before the awards thing. And he goes, and I just said, wow, I got to get to know this guy. And then I see your story, and then I watch your show, your episode, and then you get this. He goes, I was really impelled to come and reach out to you. I want to talk to you. And I go, what's that? He goes, well, I'm involved with Chris Voss. Do you know who he is? I said, who doesn't know Chris Voss, right? Yeah. Never split the difference guy. I'm like, and I quoted him, and he had said, he goes, I heard you say that. I said, oh yeah, you never split the difference. And I said, one of the things Chris Voss said was, if you got 10 hostages, lives on the line, and you say, I tell you what, give me 5, you can kill the other 5. Just give me 5, we'll split the difference. Like, no, you can't do that.
It's not
right?
evident.
No.
It's not evident.
So his thing is, your value proposition better be so damn good that you are the reason that they'll pay what they'll pay. Don't you dare go the weak stuff. Okay, well, I'm at 400, you're at 300. Let's just go 350 and call it a day. Because that is one of the weakest things you can do, because you just devalued yourself, your client, whoever you're representing, or even yourself. And I'm like, okay, wow, this guy's heavy. It's
pretty impressive.
This guy's heavy. So this guy says, I heard you, and Chris is writing a new book, and I'm like, dude, I have all his books. I go, he's the man. And he goes, well, I clearly see that you must. He goes, how would you like to write a chapter in his book? He's got, half dozen or co-authors or whatever he's got. And I'm like seriously? He's like, yeah. And I go, I thought you had to.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
And I was like, I thought you had to do these weird things to get in these books and stuff. He goes, you can do that. He goes, but with Chris, it's different. He goes, you want to do this with him? I'm like, and I said, do I get to meet him? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm in. And I go, oh, what's it on? Because I didn't even think about it. The answer was yes.
Yes, of course.
The answer is yes.
Yes.
Put me at the seat at that table.
And I'll figure it out.
And then from there, I'll
Is
roll
there a
with it.
time frame when that comes out?
Yeah. So what was cool was he said, well, the book's all but done, and we're finalizing everything this week. I just happen to be here because I'm talking to these guys because we're going to do the awards thing here with these guys next year. And I said, really? He goes, yeah. So if it works out, you could be on stage here next year with us because it'll be a bestseller. It's already going to be a bestseller before it hits the bookshelves. And I'm like,
100%.
I get to come back to Beverly Hills and do this again. I'm in.
Sign me
You
up.
get your Quilly and stuff like that. Now it's kind of cool. I said, yeah, I'm in. I said, what's it about? And he said, it's perfect for you. And I'm like, uh-oh, he ain't telling me what it's about. I'm like,
there you go.
What's it about? He goes, it's called leadership, empathetic leadership.
Oh, wow.
He goes, I think you're perfect. And I'm like, wow. He says, the only problem is we have to have this whole thing done in 3 days. I was like, I have to write a book in 3 days? He goes, no, you're writing a chapter in the book. But
Yep.
yeah. And I'm like, okay. How's it work? I've never done this. I don't know how this works. And he says, okay, here's how it works. And we're going to have you write your thing. We're going to have you talk to our ghostwriter. You explain to them. You talk to them I was on the phone for 6 hours that night.
Wow.
Yeah, I
Worth
talked to
every
her-
minute.
I talked to her till 1 a.m. Yeah, going through all this with her and explaining, and then they're like, okay, what I heard you say was this, and they write it, and I'm like, I get it, and I'm like, no. I mean, here's what happens.
How many
first
times do you
version?
have to go over?
Oh yeah, 5 versions.
5 versions?
Oh, okay.
I had to go back and do it 5 times
'Cause you
but
needed
we only
that-
had 3 days to do it all.
Yeah.
Right. So the next day she gives me the first version. I'm like, no. no, you missed my point.
Yep.
And she's like, no, the compelling story with your daughter is insane. I go, this isn't about tragedy. This is about
Triumph.
Right? This is about leadership, about being empathetic. How do you relate to your people, and why do you relate to people? Well, I relate to them because I've gone through this, so I can relate to them. I don't care whatever's happened to them. I can handle that. I can help them. This is why these things are there, right? So I am going to be the beacon of light for these people, and I can help them. But you have to keep your ego in check, because it's not about you. It's always about them. And as long as you do that, you can resonate with people. People will buy in, and they will run through a brick wall for you.
Yeah.
I go, and that's good leadership. I said, I told some other guy we were talking about, and he's like, what makes you think you're a good leader? I said, well, because when I turn around, there's an army of people. Yep. I said, the guys who think they're leaders, when they turn around, there's nobody there, they're not good leaders.
Oh, sure.
Right?
Good point.
So
good point.
I said, that's what I look at. And if my army is getting smaller, I'm failing.
No.
If my army's getting
Your
bigger,
army's certainly getting bigger, Curtis.
It's been
Your
doing
army's
well.
certainly
It's been
getting
doing
bigger.
well. So then we went back and forth until I got them to make it about the leadership piece. Yes, you can mention that this is what, which was the formidable things that formed you into your mindset, the way you think and how you've become and you emerged. And I did. So I think we did a really nice, elegant job of explaining that piece, but really making it about, the succession coming out of that and what have we done with that, and then how have we grown and how have we built, just like I did in the My Story thing. Stephanie is sprinkled all through it, but it's really about what comes out on the other side. What did you do with that? How do you see things differently? How do you help others see things?
Yeah.
How do you connect?
Excited to look.
And that's
excited,
it. So thank you. So
excited
next
when
month
that comes out.
Yeah. So I actually,
super excited.
I go to Vegas next month. So
for the launch,
March of 2024 here, we're
congratulations.
I'm sorry, April of 2024.
Yeah.
We're announcing the coming out of the book, and I believe
we'll
May.
keep our eye out for it.
It'll
That's
be
awesome. Yeah.
available for everybody in May, and
go.
it's already charted as bestseller, everything, and
I love it.
Barnes and Noble, Amazon. It's going to be so. I'm really proud of that. I'm really happy to be in it, and you're on the cover of some of the editions, and then the other ones you're on the back. And, but I'm in it.
Oh, you're in it,
and I'm really proud of that. So I get to. I'm having dinner with Chris Voss next month in Vegas. We're going to Fleming's.
I'll get an update from you.
I won't tell you the day, so you don't come and bombard me. But I'm really excited about that, and we're going to be doing a lot of announcements. So you'll see a lot of stuff on my social from it.
We look forward to seeing that, Curtis.
So thank you for bringing that up.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Last question. We'll close it off. Anything you can tell us or the listeners? Besides the book, upcoming projects? What do we have to look forward to in the future with you? Okay,
what I'm actually doing. Mark is great at building teams and such, and he's done it, as good or better than most forever. 20 some years he's done it. So we always jokingly say, well, you're a 25-year overnight success. People want to, how do I do it tomorrow?
That's
right?
a great line.
Yeah. How do I do it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well,
tell us that all the time.
Takes you 25 years to be that overnight success you want to be. So yeah. And it has a lot to do with failures. Right. And
the mother of all success.
How do you come out of it? Right. Did you come out of it, upset about it? Well, sure, we're upset about it, but did you learn anything from it? And now how do you win with it? Right. So it's about that learning to win. Brent Musburger, learning to win. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. And he's like, we want to put together, something that we can teach these people how to do that. So we've been recording and creating modules and sessions. They're all recorded, so people can just watch.
Video record or audio?
Yeah, video.
Nice.
Yeah, video recording us. So we've been doing them, and just a little sneak peek. What we've been doing is we're playing a game of chess at the same time, because if you want to win in this life, stop playing checkers, start playing chess.
Yeah.
Think 3 moves ahead, right? 5 moves ahead, 7 moves ahead, and so we're actually playing on a giant chessboard as we're doing our videos.
How sweet is that?
Yeah,
Very creative.
Each episode has got the pieces moving, and you'll see the chess match. And so we're doing that because I want that to be what people see. They think of Mark in the Shark Tank and what we have, but we're going to do that. And what I want to do is continue building more leaders. And so that's really my focus. So when you ask, how do I want to be seen? What do you want people to call me? I think back when I was at Pulte Homes years ago, they gave me the nickname Coach, and that's what kind of stuck. So I actually have what are these called? The pictures on the wall. The
Caricatures?
No, the
canvas?
type. The canvases.
Yeah.
Canvases. That's that word. Tough word. Canvases. So I have a canvas that was given to me from my team at Marketplace Homes years ago that says, my nickname, Coach. And it has the definition of coach on it. It hangs on my wall in my home office. And I still look at that and I think, be a coach. Be a coach, right? Lead leaders. Teach people to become leaders. And so I've been really heavy for the last year and a half, 2 years of really focusing more on that. get these people in the right rooms, give them the opportunity, you know, get people on stage, get them the chance to shine in the limelight and get the light on them. If you can take the light off of yourself and put it on them, your light will shine brighter.
Yeah.
Because
Always
you
does.
have leaders.
Amen to that.
Always
So
does.
create
Yep.
leaders. Stop worrying about your light dimming. Your light doesn't dim. Your light gets brighter if you have others with more, because it illuminates the entire room and you're part of it. And then they look at you and revere you that way. So I've been spending a lot of time creating, you know, more and more leaders and having a lot of success doing it. So I'm happy with that.
Nice.
So,
Love it, man. Love it. Love it. Want to sincerely thank you for your time today, man. We know you're super busy. To our listeners, Curt Shewell, about to be a author in a chapter of a best-selling book. He's got a bunch of projects coming up. He's putting out some great content. Business advisor, mentor, and coach, as he wants to be known. If you like what you heard today, please give us a share. Please give us a mention. And as Curtis certainly demonstrated, whatever life throws at you, continue to push along. We're going to put all of Curtis's hashtags so you can find a way to get a hold of him. That's Dominic Shaba. I'm Bernard Shemo. Curt Shewell, thank you so much for making the time, and congratulations on all your success.
You guys
brother.
are awesome. Thank you for being everybody. Tune into these guys. These guys are amazing. They have the best people, and I just hope I did you guys okay.